the I'm a Fan of podcast, music, comedy, and more.
Payton Payne.
Hey.
The only person to ever beat me to the studio.
Period.
What's up?
Breaking stereotypes. Hey.
I'm just so, I told you before we started that Carrie Smith was the last guest.
Yes.
And she was 20 minutes late because she was painting me a custom mug.
A whole gift.
And seriously, all the comics, maybe one or two, I can't remember. They're all 5-10 minutes late.
Yeah.
So when I was running a little behind, I was like, it's cool. She's a comic. She'll be running late.
No
but you
way.
miss punctuality.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
Got to be.
Well, yeah, we got started like right on time. I'm new to this. It's throwing me off my game a little bit. Anyhow, so glad to have you in. My journey watching you has been really strange.
OMG.
And,
Let's hear it, God.
well, no, I think I've seen you. I was trying to remember. It all kind of blended together because I'd heard like a little buzz about you before I ever saw you, right? People were like, oh, there's this person who's a little nerd. Because what are you, about 2 years in maybe?
2.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it probably would have been about maybe like a year and a half when you were into it. I don't remember who mentioned it, but there's just like, I was like, who are some of the newcomers? Because, there's always like the New Year's resolution people and all that.
Oh,
And I was
yeah.
just chatting with people. Anybody new, And they're like, oh, Payton Payne. I was like, okay. And I had plans. I was like, I'll go see this. I'll remember it. I'll go watch a show. But I never remembered the name for some reason. But then I just started randomly being at shows that you were on, which
Yeah.
was wonderful. And but I noticed a pattern.
Fate.
I noticed a pattern though, because I can't remember exactly. The one that sticks out in my mind the most was I kept seeing you do what I thought was very funny material. Okay, and I was like, am I just hitting all the wrong crowds when I watch her? What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And the one that stuck out the most is I saw you open a Friday late night show at DCC. And it was like in the big room, but the room was maybe half full. And Friday late shows they're rough anyway,
They
right?
can be.
And I came out and I was like, I don't get it. I was like, you're getting laughter, but not as much as I thought you should be getting. I was like, maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm getting out of touch here. I don't know. But then I finally saw you with a full room where you weren't opening it up. You weren't hitting them cold. And it was on one of those all-girl shows. I think it was Liz Mooney's show.
Yeah, Liz.
Yeah. And you were on a show with like solid group of people. Everybody's on it. The crowd was going. I was like, okay, finally. This was the response I thought should have been going on the whole time. But it's about 2 years in. Do you find that the crowd fluctuates a lot like that still?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does. Like, I'm more so still like in my host era, like just opening up into a cold room. So I don't mind.
Isn't it crazy that when you're new, that's the spot you start in? Because it's the absolute hardest spot.
It is what it is.
But that's the hardest spot.
It can be. It can be hard.
You're being
but
honest. They're cold.
They are, but
They don't know what to think.
But sometimes you get people that are literally there to have a good time. They be like, yeah, bring on the comics, and they be
So my background, I'm not a stand-up. My background's in music.
okay.
And when I was in bands, we would always put the brand new band, the most inexperienced, like in the second slot.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the idea was you had somebody who was newer but kind of experienced, open it up, who knows what they're doing. Let the people walk in. Because with music, it's like the first couple bands, people are coming in. Getting drinks. And so by that time, the crowd was settled like just enough that it kind of took some of the nerves off, I think. So I think it's odd at stand-up. It's like, so you're brand new, you're super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Let's get you out there first.
But also, some people get you to host strictly because they know, like, okay, this person is going to go ahead and get the crowd warm.
Yeah.
They can go ahead and, like, just eat shit for
It's true. You remind me, y'all's styles are nothing, like, your jokes aren't similar or anything. But I like how every time I've seen you, regardless of the situation, you still stay true to kind of your own cadence.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it made me think of Tyler Elliott does that really well.
Okay.
Tyler Elliott does not give a shit who came on before him or after. He's doing it his way. And I think that's what you got to do, right?
You have to be yourself. You have to be comfortable with being yourself in front of a lot of people.
Yeah. Where did you start? Where were you performing before you started hosting? Where are you from? Dallas or Fort Worth or what area?
No, I started comedy strictly in Dallas, but I'm
okay.
from Chicago,
Oh,
like
okay.
born and raised. I moved to Dallas in like 2017.
Oh, okay. You like the rest of them coming down for work or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it started as.
But no comedy in Chicago?
No, never. But I do have plans to go home soon.
Yeah.
To do some comedy.
Yeah, that's interesting. What made you start it down here and not there?
I got fired
Yeah.
from a job.
But you
I
had
got fired from the job. That
you
was
had no thoughts of doing it in Chicago though?
no. Like I've I've wanted to act, and I like written screenplays and stuff like that, like funny stuff, like little cartoons and stuff here and there.
That's what you're doing in Chicago?
Yeah, basically.
Oh, okay.
Basically, just like literally writing, like literally typing out full scripts, printing them out, putting them in a box because I have nowhere.
So you got a box full of scripts?
Okay.
I love it though. I'm that person. I love movies.
Yeah, I love movies.
I love the conveniency of streaming, but man, like I think we might have been the last generation, especially pre-COVID, to get that full movie theater experience when theaters were awesome.
Yes.
Before they were really ripping you off. Ticket prices are still pretty good. Candy was still pretty, priced all right.
Or they'll have a day where you could just go.
Yeah. But think about some of the movies that we had in the theaters when we were growing up that were killer.
All the good ones.
It's just not the same anymore.
Yeah, the full Harry Potter series.
I heard Matt Damon talk about it. He said the reason it's doing that is because there's no DVDs. So, like, if you made a movie and it didn't do well in the theater, they could at least dump it in that $5 bin at Walmart.
Yeah,
and they could recoup some of their losses, and so you could make a lot of great B movies.
But you have to think like that's literally what Tubi is, the streaming service Tubi. Like they literally
do you think
just
it's that effective though?
Yeah, like, and the thing why Tubi is good, like you could put a movie on Tubi, you could put it there, and somebody will watch it. And then Tubi, after the movie is over, Tubi will just play another movie.
Okay.
By itself.
How high are you getting when you're on You're like, the main benefit is like when the movie's over, the next movie starts.
Like they'll play another movie and then another movie and then another movie.
So it's kind of like the Pandora of movies.
Like literally.
That's
like
cool.
movies that they'll think you like.
Yeah. Do you think the people making the movies are making money off Tubi though?
No.
That's tough, right?
It is.
That's the hard part is like how many like there was a lot of movies that were box office flops, but later on because of DVDs became like cult classics.
Yes.
And I think this generation is missing out on that.
Yeah.
It's got to be like a huge Marvel movie or it's just going to lose money, I guess.
Stupid shit like that, yeah.
But movies are like, I mean, I grew up in a real small town, and I used to ride a dirt bike to the gas station to get like a newspaper to check the movie times.
Really?
Yeah. Like before you could just look shit up on smartphones and stuff.
Yeah, my dad used to bring newspapers home.
Right.
And we'll go ahead and look through for the movie times.
Yeah.
But
you got siblings?
I do.
So
it's
y'all
four
were
of
arguing
us.
about what to watch?
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember one time I got roped into going to see Spawn. I was terrified the whole time.
Yeah.
Terrified the entire time.
That's a good example, though. That movie, not getting made today. It's like, I don't know if it's going to make any money at all.
Lord.
Yeah. But it was, I mean, I don't know. It was a
They'll
great
be
era.
like, who is Spawn?
So what got you into going from being like a movie lover to saying, I think I'll write a script?
Because like I feel like it's a void.
What do you mean?
It is a void. Like I'm like what got me writing, I was like looking to see like a certain type of story, like a relatable type of story.
Okay.
Like somebody like me, a story like that, or somebody like a friend. Like if you see a friend, like they're living like a crazy life, not even crazy, but a special life, you'll be like, damn, somebody needs to watch this. Somebody needs to see this.
So basically you're just trying to pull from what's around you?
Yeah, always. That's all my jokes are.
Were you
literally
keeping it in the comedy lane, or was it anything you want to? I mean, did you do like a drama or like anything like that? How were you writing?
They're all comedies, but I guess it's serious moments.
Sure,
but can't be too serious. Like I don't take life too seriously.
Yeah, I picked that up.
I don't take life too seriously because life be lifing.
When I see someone as chill as you are, there's a long time. For a long time, I will think you're faking this.
Oh, no.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's hard for me to comprehend that people really can be that. Like
you have to be.
I would love to be.
No, I'm not always this chill.
Well, I know,
like,
but
don't get me wrong.
You were most likely more chill throughout a full week or a full month than I am, for sure.
I mean,
I will have to have conversations in the car and calm myself down sometimes about
me all the
Okay,
time,
right.
literally me all the
Make me feel
time,
better.
or skip the conversation, go off, and then like regroup, like how could we have done that better, like type shit. But like,
oh my god,
when I'm in a comedy setting, it's gonna be chill. I'm gonna have a good time because that's the only reason why I'm here is to have a good time and to be happy.
I will say that's something I've noticed when you're up there is there. I don't mean this in a negative way, but you're not taking yourself too seriously at all. We're on stage. We're up here for a reason, having a good time, having fun.
And you want the crowd to have a good time too.
But that's a hard thing for some new people.
Yeah, people don't want to be embarrassed.
Well, and I think maybe, and I still have a lot to learn. Like I say, I'm just a fan of this.
Yeah.
And, so I don't pretend to know. I don't pretend to think I know more than anybody else.
Right.
I'm just kind of observing. And then when I talk to comics, they'll either check me on it and be like, no, actually, it's probably this or that. But what it seems like with a lot of these new people over maybe the past like 6 or 7 years that I've been watching really closely is maybe they're not willing to slow down and go, I need to learn how to just have a little fun and be funny before I start trying to write my George Carlin revolutionary material. Man. That I think it maybe is frustrating for them to have to accept you're not going to write any groundbreaking comedy for several years. You're just learning, like, who are you on stage right now?
You finding your voice and shit.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that,
But I think it's hard for some people. I think they get up there and they're like, so racism in politics, right? Like instantly, first, second year going for it.
Everybody like, cause I took a class.
Yeah.
And in the class there was like, listen, you're not finna be Dave Chappelle up there like talking about this, and this. Don't nobody care about your opinion.
Yeah.
And as soon as they said, don't nobody care about your opinion, I'm like, damn. Well, if I'm talking about myself and what I go through, my opinion is the only thing that matters.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
like,
I mean, I don't know if it's better or worse for you to think about it this way, but I kind of think of it as, especially like at your phase, kind of the double edge, like the freedom is that no one's remembering you yet. And like if you had a horrible set, nobody remembered that. Like the stranger coming to watch the show, who it's their first or second comedy show they've ever watched, they might remember the headliner, right? But by the time they get there, for better or worse, it's like they've probably forgotten about that first couple people, which gives you all the freedom in the world to kind of play with everything. Yes. But at the same time, you're like, please remember me.
Hey, if you get the laughs, they remember. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, being new, like I like the position that I'm in right now. I like everything is new. Everything is an experience and things like that. Like I've done shows that I've repeated shows and stuff like that, but still, it's still.
I see you getting a lot of work.
It's fun. Yeah. Like I'm not jaded. You got some comics that are like jaded, and I'm like, ew, like
it's weird. You would think with a group full of people trying to be funny, that a lot of times it would be more lighthearted. But the politics within y'all's scene, I'll be sitting at a table sometimes just hearing people go, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna hop on up, go get another drink.
It's really crazy.
Yeah. They just all want to be the funniest. They all want to move up.
Yeah, but I also don't like it when like people, like not people, but like just comics in general, feel the need to like share their opinion like all the time. Like give me some, like if it's like good advice, sound advice coming from a great place, please get it all for me.
We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
About how your venues have, we're lucky we have a lot of venues, right? But even with all these venues, there's a couple managers, a couple bookers, right?
Yeah.
And they're the ones dropping a lot of advice, or some of your peers, right? And you're just hoping that they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And I think you get a lot more bad advice probably than good advice.
Yeah.
Just unsolicited.
Unsolicited. And you literally just got to be like, okay, thank you.
Whose comedy class did you take?
I took 2. I did Intro to Stand Up with Claire Daigle.
Yep.
And
that's at DCC, right?
Yeah, that is at the Dallas Comedy Club. Shout out. And I also did Advanced Stand Up with Megan King.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Megan's great.
She's the truth.
Yeah. She's working like a bunch.
She is. She's doing her thing. Shout out to Megan.
She's working enough where I'm like, come on, any day now. Any day she's always
She needs
working.
to pop. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you liked the comedy classes?
Yeah, I feel like because I was all over the place and I used to write, because I'm used to writing scripts, so everything is like a story and long as hell. And when you only got 5 minutes at an open mic, that really don't translate well. So I just had to learn how to get to the point.
What were some of the first stories that were taking too long?
Every single story.
Like what was maybe like a premise that wasn't working and it was too long?
Too long? I had this story about how my mom's dog was my roommate.
Mm.
And it's still like a 2-minute joke because it's pretty good now. But like,
so it made the cut.
Yeah, it did make the cut, but like now it started off as like, so my mom asked me to keep the dog, you know, just unnecessary shit. Yeah,
too.
you know, like just unnecessary words.
Yeah. Was it working at all when it was like that?
No, because people are like, what's she talking about?
Mm-hmm.
She been up there talking about one thing and it's been 5 minutes. But that was also like
what
one
were the
of
open
my
mics
first,
you were doing then?
Like this open mic Mondays with Michelle Rose Dome. Do you know who that is? Yeah.
Where's she doing that now?
Is
that Chocolate Secret still?
No, she's actually a wine therapist.
Okay. Yeah, I know she moves her venues sometimes.
Mm-hmm. But I was doing hers when she was at the Buzz Brews.
Oh, the Deep Ellum one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not Deep Ellum.
Lakewood?
Lakewood.
Okay.
100%.
That one's closed down.
It is.
We used to eat breakfast there all the time.
Oh, wow. It is closed down. But she moved across the street.
Okay. Oh, so the new place is across the street from Buzz Brews?
Literally across the street.
Oh, that's my neighborhood over there. I didn't realize it was right there.
Wine therapist on Mondays.
I won't say the name on here, but our absolute favorite bar is right there too.
Really?
I know. There's only a couple.
Only one.
Yeah, but that's so you were trying these longer, slower premises.
Yeah, because I just didn't know how to write a joke.
Mm-hmm.
I just needed the structure on how to write a joke.
So after that is when you said, "I'm going to go take a class."
Like
did somebody mention it to you?
Literally after my second open mic, I was like, "Damn, I need a class," because I liked it.
That's pretty self-aware, though.
Yeah, I like standing up. I was like, "Damn, if I really want to do this for real, you know, I got time on my hands. Might as well take a class."
Mm-hmm.
And Claire actually used to go to the open mic Mondays too, and she was like, "Yeah, I teach a class." So I was like, "Shit, let me get on that."
Yeah.
And after that, the rest is history, literally. Yeah.
Yeah, the classes are always like some people hate them, some people love them.
Yeah, because I feel like everybody doesn't need a class.
Mm-hmm.
Like people are like just blessed just to know structure if they read a book or anything like that. But I have to actually sit in the class, actually do it, and like just get my hands dirty.
Mm-hmm.
So
have you always been more that way? Like you want to read about something, learn about something in depth?
I don't like to. I just have to jump in.
Okay.
I literally.
What was your hobby before doing stand up and writing screenplays?
And writing.
Yeah. What's like a hobby?
I was a theater kid.
Okay.
Literally.
It's adding up now.
Musical theater.
Man, so ultimately, no matter what comedy does,
something's gonna happen.
Well, but it sounds like no matter what comedy does, you're going to get back into
Yes.
some sort of scripted performance.
Oh yes, 100%.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So did you get your degree in theater?
Oh no, I don't have a degree.
Oh, okay,
I did go to school for theater.
Yeah.
Just didn't finish.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many scripts do you think you have?
I don't know.
Do you think
Maybe like 50.
I was going to say, do you think it's plus or minus 50?
Yeah, maybe like 50.
Interesting. I've always wanted to. I've loved movies so much. I've always thought about writing scripts, but I've never. I don't even know what a jumping off point is for that. You know, like, did you look up format and how to write it, or did you just start writing what you thought a script should be written
yes. Actually, I did. Like, I took my favorite TV show, which at the time I think it was That's So Raven, and I Googled the first script.
Oh God! Okay.
Like literally, just do that.
Yeah.
Just take your favorite TV show, first episode. Just look up the script. It's available anywhere.
What do you think it's going to take to get you to film one of these?
Oh, just money. That's
just money.
Just
what if you
money.
just did like a real rough draft with just cell phones and just
cell
having
phones?
friends doing reads?
That's what the rough draft would be, even with money. Like just time and money. Time.
Have you ever done a real
money.
read through of any of your scripts with people?
Yes.
And
I have.
how'd you like it?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. Like
Did
we
it
were in my
feel-
1-bedroom apartment. Like loved it. Like just telling people like the emotion that I want. and
How many
shit
people
like
were in
that.
the room?
It was only 3.
So there's 3 of y'all, 3 characters.
3 characters.
All right. Were they people who were actors as well? Mm-hmm. Okay. So they knew what was going on?
Yeah, they believed in the project.
Yeah.
You know.
Did you like highball where you're like, I'll send the scripts to you beforehand?
Yes.
Read up on it, and they were prepared?
Yes. I like even when they came, like I had them printed out and like with their watermark of their character that they were going to be reading. It was real legit.
Were you stressed when you had them come over to read your work that was private? How did that go?
And they're like, "Oh, it's a typo." I'm like, "Oh, just highlight it for
It was
me."
a typo.
Highlight it for me so I can like retype it. And
What made you go, I have this private project. It's personal. I'm vulnerable. I'm going to send it to 2 people I know, and I'm going to invite them over to read it.
Yeah, like...
What kicked you to make you say, I got to do that?
I don't know. Like, I've always had this thirst to create.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is a thirst, hunger, whatever it is. Like, I have to create something. Like, even if it's just painting.
Yeah, but creating is one thing. What do you think was the catalyst to get you to share it?
To share it?
Where you're like, please come read it. Because that's a whole nother...
Is it?
That's a whole nother step.
Is it?
Maybe not for you, but I think for a lot of people.
Yeah, just to get to share your work.
You can have a private hobby, and you can think it's good, right? I think this is great, but for a lot of people, the moment you show it to anyone, you're thinking,
real.
"Oh God, what if I'm just lying to myself and I'm terrible about this?"
I don't know.
I think a lot of people out there have projects like that. That's kind of why I'm asking is. A bunch of people probably have a project they think is really good, but they're too scared to even bring it up to like a coworker, a friend, a relative, to see if it's any good. And that's what you did with your 2 friends when you did a read, you know?
I did.
Maybe you didn't think about it that way.
I just felt like somebody got to see this. Somebody has to feel the way that I feel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think it was like maybe just a thirst for community and shit, and like camaraderie, like basically like just like-minded people.
How many theater performances had you done before you did that? Do you think that's part of it? Like, did they just... I know theater kids, if they stick with it, they just get bold.
Yeah.
You know, there's no other choice, right?
Maybe because, like, after I left school, like, I wasn't doing anything. Like, and going from performing and being around performance and being around just the fast pace of theater and stuff like that, and then just flipping it and doing nothing, that thirst, that fire, it grow, and you'd be like, fuck, I got...
So you were doing live theater performances?
Oh, yeah, live theater.
Were you doing that in high school?
I was doing it in high school. I did it in college. I even did it before, like, in, like, elementary and stuff like that. I was always in dance, something.
I mean, that has to be the main reason why you're so comfortable on stage already.
It is.
About 2 years in, right?
It is.
Because you are more comfortable than you should be in terms of just length of time.
Yeah.
Not your material. Just it takes people a minute to settle up there.
Yeah. But
well, there you go, theater.
That theater.
Have you met Michael Pasvar?
I have not.
He's a comic around here, and he's got, I think his theater degrees from OU.
Oh, wow.
But he's, you know, he doesn't seem like your average theater guy, but he was all about it. That's what his education was in. And it's like he fears no stage. You know what I mean?
Because you can't, like, I don't get embarrassed. I don't care. It's really bad.
Before you started theater in high school, were you that way? Would you never get embarrassed about things?
Oh, no. That's something that, like, literally had to build.
Oh.
It literally had to build.
Do you remember the most embarrassing moment in high school theater where you were like, okay, it'll never be that bad again, I guess?
Oh, no. Like, we were doing The Wiz. And,
What's The Wiz? Oh, the
Wiz.
play. Yeah,
the play.
Okay.
And I was at a Pearl. And, like, she's the first person. She's like the second person that sings. Dorothy is the first person that sings, but Ada Pearl, like, once Dorothy gets to Oz, Ada Pearl is
I didn't
like...
even think about you were singing.
Yeah, like, no,
You're singing.
Carry a little tune, too. Like, once you sing on stage, and, like, maybe, like, your voice crack or something like that, there's no... That's it. Like, you can literally do anything.
You know what, though? It's so weird to hear you say that. Like I said, my background was in music. I was a singer in a couple bands. I've done lead. I've done backup. But if you were to put me on a theater stage and sing...
That's a totally different ball
I don't know
game.
that I could hang. I think that fear... Maybe it's like I get to hide behind a guitar or a mic stand or something. You know, whereas theater, you're kind of like up front.
And it's your voice, and it has to carry. They have to hear you.
Yeah.
The mics are...
Yeah, that's true.
Are way up.
Well,
So,
how did the performance of The Wiz go?
Okay, so anyway. You remember when I said, like, once
16,
your voice cracked.
17?
Once your voice... I was 18. It was senior year. Once your voice cracked in front of a bunch of people, you could do anything. You could do anything in your life. So... Opening night, I'm singing, voice crack. Everybody like, ooh, it's like a, you know how some, like, TV where like they be like, oh,
Yeah, it's like
or
the record
like it's
scratch.
a look, yes, or it's a, like a look to the camera moment, like everybody, like the world fucking stopped. That's how it was, and I had to keep going.
When it cracked, did it crack so hard that you stopped singing, or did you push? Were you able to push through whatever that was? Like, did it crack and then it's silent for a moment and you start again?
It was like silent because it was the end of the note. Like I was done. It was the end of that like note, but then I had to start singing and like finish.
Yeah.
But yeah, it cracked at the end, so it was a little silence. And I literally, to this day, people are like, no, nobody said ooh, but I heard ooh.
You probably heard one person in the front row.
Because why are you that loud though? I don't care who it was. Why are you that loud though?
Oh man,
this is a high school performance. What you thought you was on Broadway? Like,
see, you were already a comic back then because you could be crushing the whole room and there'd be one person not laughing, and then y'all are like, the show is terrible.
You'd be like, what the heck?
It was a horrible show, but that's rough.
It is.
Any kind of singing without music, I guess.
It's a doozy. Yeah. I don't even like. I know, like, I'm confident, like, with the words and shit like that, but still, it takes me a little second to sing on stage in front of people still.
Well, especially, too, it doesn't matter how much you rehearse it. When you come out in the theater, you know, where the seats are normally kind of lit up when you're practicing, it's all dark, and there's just stage lights now. Literally. And it's like, oh, God, this is way different. Yeah. It's hard to explain that fear of, like, I've been on a lot of stages, and you still, when there's something like, you know, your rehearsals just go perfect. It's just flawless, right? Yeah. The stuff you do at home is always 10 times better than what you do, in front of people, and it's wild. But
even with like comedy too, like I find that the settings that I like it's wonderful. It's a blessing to perform at a club, in a packed room, and things like that. But like those intimate spaces where the lights are up and you do see everyone, and like they right in front of you, y'all at floor level. It's not no elevated stage, nothing like that. I'd be like, okay, we just finna have a conversation, because that's all it is. That's what it has to be. It has to be a conversation.
You know, I think what you just said is one of the things that bothers me about a lot of the modern comedy specials, the way they're filmed. So, like, you know, a lot of comedy specials, they'll cut them together, right? They'll film like 3 or 4 things. So they've got to have shots of the crowd laughing, because those are great places to cut from. Okay, I didn't like the way this joke was done on show 2. We'll pull the one from show 3. Yep. We'll cut to the crowd, laughter, and then we'll splice back into the next one, right? And so because of that, a lot of these specials, they like light up the audience. Have you noticed that? It might be like a blue light or a red light. It might even just be like a regular yellow, whitish light. But they light up the audience so they can get those cuts, you know, so they can have those like, oh, people are laughing. Yeah. But I think that pulls from your recording, right? Because I think you want the lights down where you feel like you don't have all these other people judging what you're laughing at. Right? Like if you say something terrible, and I have to look to the next person to see if it's okay if I laugh, right? I think it takes a little bit away. Whereas if it's all dark and you don't even see these people really, I think you let loose more. And I think a lot of the older specials were done that way, where the crowd's almost just non-existent. It's just blacked out. You just hear that laughter. But I don't know. But you're right. I mean, those rooms where you see the crowd, it's not as great.
I don't hate them though.
It's just not as good.
I don't hate them at all. Like,
it's not as good as a dark.
Because that's, that's the dream, right. But like intimate crowd,
you really just want like a semicircle that's lit up that you're standing on. Yeah, and just maybe you see a little light on the table at least, and there. Nah,
I don't mind like literally lights on all the way.
Yeah,
turn them on, and we can have this conversation.
That sounds terrible.
Turn them on.
Yeah,
but I don't mind it. Like a club setting, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's the dream. It's cool. But also, however, those intimate settings could be cool too.
Yeah, I guess.
They're not the worst at all.
The worst. Well, I don't think it's the fact that it's intimate. I think it's the fact that it's probably just bright and
you see those people
if you got like TVs on in the background, that kind of stuff.
You see those people who are afraid to laugh out loud, and you see them do like, I'll be like, give me that. Give me that out loud. I need that. You know?
Well, and I think part of it too is like bringing those lights down turning off those TVs is telling the crowd, like, our focus is here now.
That's true.
You know, we're looking at this. This is the thing that's happening.
Yeah.
Whereas when you're, you know.
But when you're performing at a bar,
I know.
what could you expect?
I guess, yeah.
Nothing but chaos.
Well, yeah, true. I mean, and I guess maybe that's wise to have y'all cut your teeth in those areas, because it's like, man, if you can't make it through this, you know.
You got to learn how to adjust, you know, with any type of crowd. Even if you feel like you finna be the only one laughing on that stage in a room during your set that night, you be like, oh, well, all right, let's go ahead and get this done.
The most uncomfortable show I've ever been to, I bought a ticket to go watch. I'm not going to say the person's show.
Okay.
It's a person I like. And
God.
And it's a show that's normally has tickets sold, and it's a good show.
Where is it at?
I don't even want to say. Okay. I don't want to accidentally tarnish the show.
Oh, gosh.
It's all good. It's all good. But for whatever reason, I show up. And when I show up, they were literally debating if they were going to not do anything because I was the only person that showed up.
Was I on that show?
Maybe that was one of the ones. I don't know. But, you know, I was talking to people. I was like, I mean.
They're like, who's in the crowd?
I was
Travis.
I told them, I was like, look. I don't mind an awkward story to tell later. I was like, do y'all want to only have one person staring at you in the crowd? I was like, it's like literally I'm just talking to the whoever the comics that are. I was like, I mean, it's up to y'all. I was like, I can just get a beer if y'all don't want to do this.
And did you sit in the front row?
I don't know if I was front row. I try to never sit front row. I think I was probably second or third row back. But the place it was at, the speakers are past the front row. So I don't like sitting. It's a place you know. It's a place you've performed at, so it might be there. Oh, but I will say it's a smaller room.
Okay,
and
it's a smaller room.
It's a smaller room. So yeah, I mean, no matter where I was in that room, it probably would have felt like I'm right there.
Yeah,
and I didn't mind watching a set that way, but it was just the uncomfortable, like, y'all feel like you have to make eye contact with me because it's just me.
It's just you,
and then you're just like. Do you just laugh
I think
at
I know
everything?
which room you're talking about. And in that room, yeah, it gets a little brutal.
Okay, what I'll say, it's also a room that is in an area where if an ambulance passes by, you can hear it.
Okay, you're giving it away.
And then my favorite feature of this room, is when the air conditioner kicks on, it's super loud. It's like
I was on that show, Travis.
That was it? Okay.
Yeah, I was on that.
It's one of my
Don't talk about our show.
No, I like everything about the show and
the show is great when it's popping.
I don't remember what it was. I don't know if it was like winter and the holidays are coming around and it just didn't work that day for whatever reason. I was like, oh my God, I've never been the only person at a show.
It was just you in the audience. That's really crazy.
It was wild.
Yeah.
But that was the most uncomfortable I've been, where I was like, I feel like I have to put on a performance for the performers of like.
And that's it's like a topical show too. So it's like.
The chances of your joke not being funny are higher on that one because it's stuff you worked on this week. Yeah, now you're giving it away talking about a topical show.
Oh, well.
We definitely know the same thing. But yeah, the person that puts on that show, though, I really like them a lot. And I've watched their shows be successful. Yeah. But
it's just that one.
I mean, it's got to happen. Have you been to a show yet that you were on where just nobody showed up and they were like, well, I guess we won't do this today? Other than an open mic.
Yes, I've been on canceled shows. Yes, I have.
Would you have rather just?
I was supposed to headline at the comedy. Oh,
it's okay. Don't say it. Don't say it.
Okay.
There's a lot of places that start with comedy.
I was supposed to headline, and I only had 8 tickets sold, and it was like, we're gonna cancel it.
Was it a weeknight?
It was Thursday. Yes.
Thursday. That's tough. What do you think you would have done? Do you think you could have done anything differently to move more tickets? 'Cause that's a tough thing to do.
Yeah,
right?
Especially like where it's located. I probably could have. I'm not gonna say I couldn't have done anything more. It's probably a bunch of shit I could have did more, but.
Well, I think about it a lot though because it's mutual, right? Like you've got to have your way to promote, but the venues should also be able to promote some too. And so anytime I hear about a show that just didn't sell that well, it's like, man, what was going on? It didn't. Because I've heard of some getting canceled like that. And it's such a bummer.
It is.
Because you'll see the lineup and you're like, that doesn't make any sense. These are funny people, you know. But I don't know. Some of those, like, it's hard to I don't want to say there's too many venues because I don't think that. Because we have like almost
No.
8 million people here,
Yeah.
you know?
And it's always room to get some stage time, you know?
Would you have rather showed up and just played to an empty room just to practice your stuff anyway? Or were you like, no, forget about it?
I mean, yeah. I don't. I would have rocked those 8 people's socks off, you know? Like,
Yeah, I would 8-person show. I've been to a lot of 8-person shows.
you know,
and they were
those
still
happen.
good.
But hey, it is like, you know, it may cost more to keep it open than to keep it open than to just cancel the show. So
I think maybe that's one of the things our venues. Well, some of them do it really well here. Mm-hmm. Like DCC, their weeknights have a lot of good stuff going on.
they do. And they'll still, if it's one person in the show, they'll still have the show.
Yeah, they go because you know they have the bar, they have food, they have other. But I think some of these other venues who don't have things going on, you know, necessarily on like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Mm-hmm. I think that's part of the problem, though. Is I think you have to kind of foster that. You have to go like the cost of doing business is we have these slow nights where we're developing people. But at the same time, we're training this area of town to know that we're open on this night and we can come in. Mm-hmm. And I don't think they're willing to take that step. It's like, well, how much money would you really lose on a Tuesday? You'll lose some, but you know, it's like at some point, don't you have to go, no, we're always open this day doing this type of show. And then eventually, it doesn't word spread. Because again, DCC, I think, does it the best currently where they have a lot of weeknight shows that they'll sell out. Yeah. You know? They're open mic,
and DCC is at a great location too. Like it's
a good location
right there.
But there's locations that are a little bit better than that even that
That's
don't
true.
do that. Because like one of the downsides with DCC is just deep Ellum parking.
Parking.
You're gonna walk a little bit, but no big deal.
Yeah.
And they still manage it, right? And then there's other places that they have like full on like we got a parking lot, easy access, easy to get down here, and they'll still struggle. I
don't know. It's literally advertising like. Just word of mouth, location, like all that, like those are big factors. So I don't know, like.
Do you think it's even realistic at your level to have you selling tickets when you're still trying to build your set and your act, right? Like you're at a level where you're trying to build. How much time right now do you think you have that you love? That you're like, I like this chunk. That's done. I like it the way it is.
I have like 20 minutes like that. Yeah.
Right. So you're still building, you know, like your goals of being feature and those types of things, getting longer sets. And so it seems kind of strange to go, we need you to sell these tickets too.
Yeah.
And I know you're not going to say a lot about that because you're trying to work with these people. It's a smart move. But you know what I mean? It's like, I think at some point, you know, you have to realize, like, hey, your headliners and features are probably the only ones that really have chances of selling tickets to these things. Yeah. You know, other than just begging family and friends, which you can only do a couple times.
Literally, because they're not going to come to every show. They're not going to come to every show. Like, they start to fall off, literally.
You know, the only other place I think that does it in a good creative way is when the Improv does those and Friends shows.
Oh, yeah.
And they let y'all have all these comps.
Yes.
And it's like, I think that's the
like that's the way to do it, and then just do the 2-item minimum, like literally just get your money from.
Because I think they do those on Wednesdays, right? Yeah, and it's so
sometimes on Tuesdays. I've been to a Tuesday one.
So then I
Thursday.
guess it's them and DCC who understand, like, because that's the best opportunity for y'all to like. That's probably one of the few places you would actually get.
Because you want to get on the
minutes.
improv stage. You want that.
Well, but in someone like you just need to get longer sets.
That would be amazing.
Right? Like you need the opportunity to stretch out of your 5 minutes. Right? And not have to worry about the quick laughs.
Yeah.
Because imagine once you polish this up a little more, right? Because it's good now, but once you don't worry about telling your longer stories anymore because you've got 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And you can stretch it out the way you were originally kind of doing, but now you've got more experience and you know what to do. I mean, your whole act could be way different. Right?
It could be.
You ever thought about that? If you had the opportunity to slow back down,
like what it'll develop into?
Well, like think of what you've learned over the last 2 years that you could mix back into slowing down that wouldn't make it feel slow. Right? Because we've all seen slow acts. It's not necessarily the speed, right?
Yeah, it's not, because I like to sit in silence during my sets all the time. But yeah, I do think about it because I did like a show. I did 2 shows recently where only did one story, but I had like 8 minutes or I had like 10 minutes.
How did you like that?
I liked it a lot because I got to go into like crazy detail. And like I stated before, like when I write scripts, the detail is everything. We have to know when, where, what it looked like, what they look like, stuff like that. But as opposed to stand-up where you have to get to the punch as fast as you can. Literally within 30 seconds of you opening your fucking mouth, they should be laughing.
Okay. Earlier on this show, we were talking about bad advice, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm very fortunate that because I've made some friends with this podcast and I see them at a lot of shows, I think sometimes there's a few people who think because I've watched a lot of shows, maybe I might have an opinion.
Okay.
And I don't know that I have an opinion that's worth giving. But I will, if you ask, I'll try to constructively give an opinion, right?
Right.
But somebody the other day was talking about how they felt like they're too high energy, they're too like da-da-da-da-da, and that they want to change their act. And it's somebody who's been doing it a minute. They know how to be funny. I'll tell you afterwards. And that was the thing I told them. I was like, well, so you just want to slow down? Yeah, I was like, they'll go get work at Backdoor sometimes. And, they do kind of that showcase style. And I was like, if you go to Backdoor, how much time are you getting? They said, about 7-8 minutes. I was like, have you ever thought about just going up there and just seeing like, can I just only do 2 topics?
Yeah.
One
like
topic.
And
they were kind of thinking about it. And like the whole drive home after I did that, I was like, oh my God, I just gave them horrific advice. They're going to have, but I go back and forth on it because part of me is like, I don't know. I think if you did slow down, a person like you especially, I think if you had 10 minutes where you could only cover one topic and you got to do it, you got to really work on it.
Yeah.
It'd probably be really
punch it
fun.
up really good. Yeah.
Because, you think about some of the great comics that do that, where you're like, oh my God, we're 15 minutes in. Are we still?
And we're still talking about this one thing.
We're still on this, and it's still funny.
Yeah, I think like who's really good at that, like who's like more like recently, well not recently, but he's like popping now, like Ali Sadiq.
Yes.
Like he'll do one story, but it'll be like punch throughout the entire story. But it'd be like, okay, we talking about this, but it's a little sub story.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's great at weaving 3 stories,
literally.
But then we come back to where we started. He's an anomaly anyway because
it's crazy.
He did it for so long with, I guess, minor recognition, and then all of a sudden, I think he drops like 4 specials in 3 years or something.
Yes,
and just crazy funny dude
on YouTube.
Yeah. He's interesting. He's one of those ones where they lit the crowd on one of his shows, but there's one cut in particular.
Yeah.
It just makes me laugh every time I see it. It doesn't take away from the set. It's all funny.
Yeah.
It's all good. Okay. But there was one where they cut to a joke on a one night did better or something. And the only reason I noticed everything was smooth about it was that he went from being like a dry, regular person and they cut and he's like sweaty with a towel on his shoulder or something. And then they cut back and he's dry again.
Come on now. Ain't no way y'all let that.
It was a good take though.
Yeah.
But no, he's a killer. I haven't got to watch him in person. I would love
no,
to
me
watch him in
neither.
person.
Me neither. But no, he's crazy with it.
But he's a great example too. Like the amount that he sits down, and he talks quiet and slow, and you're like leaning in, like, what are we gonna say?
Like he draws you in, and I feel like that's a theater thing. Like it's like just just getting to that climax. Just getting you anticipated. Just getting you in.
How often are you getting to
punch you in the face with something outrageous?
How often are you getting to do like 15 minutes?
15 minutes? More recently, I've come across shows where like allowed it like 12 minutes and things like that. Like
so
I just did 20 minutes.
You just got to pay for more dues.
Yeah, and that's fine. Yeah. I'm having a blast doing so.
I know, but I'm just excited to see how your material will morph when you get a little breathing room.
Yeah.
But that's good. It's all part of the process, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm learning more, like, just...
Well, I can tell because the few times I've seen you, they were spaced out just enough that I was very surprised at how much new material you'll try this early on. Because, again, as somebody who doesn't do it, I feel judgy.
Really?
I feel judgy because I think people in this town are better writers than they give themselves credit. And I think a lot of people are too scared to write.
Really?
I think so. I mean, look, we don't have to name any names, but there are very, very, very funny people here in this town who lean on material for a very long time. And I know, like with the conversations I have, I'm like, you're fucking funny.
Yeah.
The thing you just talked about, hilarious, and you've never talked about that on stage.
Wow.
And I think it's fear, right? What we talked about, getting on a stage.
Don't want to be embarrassed.
It's fear.
Yeah.
And then, you know, if they're working for these clubs, I think it's the fear of having a bad set
and also
as an opener, and they're gonna think I'm terrible and they won't move me up ever. And
oof.
right, but
That's a crazy thought to have.
I will say, as a fan, seeing these people, I was like, man, I know you're funny, and I've heard that whole set, that 5-minute set or 10-minute set that they do, you know, for a couple years, and it's like, I know you got more in there.
Yeah.
So when I saw you, and I didn't know how long you'd been doing it. I just figured you were newer because you were getting earlier slots. But I was like, okay, every time I see her, she's trying a little something different, or at least a twist on what I've already heard. I can tell you're still tweaking stuff a lot.
Yeah.
It's fun.
I'm always constantly like trying to see if I can like punch up, or like maybe I should like change this to this. Because like earlier stuff, I
think I've seen a few versions. I won't give anything away, obviously. Go watch the show. But I've seen a few different versions of the convenience store date.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of versions of that, and I was like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
And then my wife, she fell in love with your labor and delivery material.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. And
I don't have any kids.
Yeah. But anyway, so I was just whenever we were watching you that night, I was like, she's like, did that hit that hard the last time? I haven't seen that yet. I was like, that was the first time I've seen any of that, and it looked like it was already worked on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I don't know.
What's your philosophy like when you're doing a show? How often do you try to mix something new in versus let's just polish up what we have?
I like to throw something new in every set.
Every set?
Every set. Every show set.
Yeah.
Now it'll be an open mic where I'm just working on the same shit. I may like a joke. Nobody else will like it, but I like it. So I'm gonna do it here to see if somebody maybe like it. But then if they don't, it's okay. But
do you think about when you're trying that new part, since you're doing it so often, do you have a preference of where you throw it? Do you throw it right in the middle, or do you go right out of the gate? Let's try it.
Has to be in the middle.
Got to do it in the middle.
It has to be in the middle. Because what if they don't laugh? Like, at least I got them laughing. If they don't laugh, okay, I can get them laughing again. Hopefully.
Yeah.
You know.
I love to hear that mentality, though.
Yeah.
That's really like one of my only complaints with any of the comics around here is I just like it's almost like you're looking at them like they're your kid or something. You know it's like, God, you have a lot in there that you're not getting out, and you can tell it's fear based. It's reasonable. I understand why they don't do it, but I think there's so many people in the DFW as a whole, and then the surrounding comedy scenes, that if they can bust out of that shell and just kind of be fearless and just start trying it.
Yeah.
I think the whole level of our scene would come up another notch.
You think so? Because we're high up there.
Yeah, but I don't think we've reached anything near the potential around here. I don't think so. I think there are killers here.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of them, it's hard to have this discussion without naming names, because I would still be bragging on them, but I just don't want to call a lot of people
No,
out,
I understand completely.
But we have this great mix of veterans who have proved how funny they are in a lot of different ways. And then we have a lot of mid-tier people who are just extremely solid, and they're working on it constantly.
Yeah.
And then because of our size of town, volume of clubs, open mics, every year we get this new crop of people coming in. And I think that variety, that mix of talent, mix of skill level creates a real healthy competition amongst y'all about trying to one-up each other.
Yeah.
Right. So I think if you keep it friendly, but you ratchet that up, right, where you're just like, it's not enough for me to get a couple laughs. I need to destroy this, you know.
Yeah.
And I think some of them don't appreciate how funny they could be yet. I don't think they know it themselves even sometimes.
I mean, it's nobody else's job to be like, hey, man.
I know.
You're funny.
How do you have that conversation, right? You can't. You can't do it. It's like, no one's going to do anything unless they want to do it themselves.
Yeah.
But I keep just kind of putting it broadly out there that, like, I think if some
people need to maybe get the fuck out of Texas also.
I think
like,
even
also,
if you don't move, just go perform somewhere.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people we have here who we take for granted because you've seen them a lot. And I think if they left,
They'll get their
and
their
destroyed
flowers.
other places.
Yeah.
And we only saw them once every 6 months.
In a blue moon. It's like,
you'd go like, oh my
yes.
God, I forgot how fucking good they were.
Yeah.
You know?
That's like 100%.
Right? Imagine sending some of them off to the coast, up to Chicago, even to areas like Oklahoma, Arkansas, where they have these comedy clubs and that are always doing something. It's like letting them maybe get that that feeling of like the comics haven't even seen them before, and they're like, "Oh man, great set," you know. But
Yeah.
you don't feel any of that.
I'm too new to feel anything,
Okay.
Travis.
Keep your eye out. Let me know what you think. You can come back a couple months from now and be like, "You were way off." They're writing all the time. Everybody I saw had new material.
But no, some people, like, I understand, like, some people, they're comfortable in their material. You know, there'll be comics, they're comfortable in their material. They got a nice vibe. That was the goal, to get a nice vibe, and they're content with that nice vibe. But then you get other comics that are constantly writing, trying to, like, evolve, like, just, like, write about something that they've never written about before. So it's, I don't know. I feel like we got a good mixture of just, like, people just who are content and people who...
Content's probably the right word.
Yeah.
That's the right word.
Yeah.
And I think that bothers me.
I don't know why, Travis.
I mean, yeah, I should be happy they're happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's, I don't know. You don't ever see a person, you see that potential, and you just don't want it wasted.
No.
You don't ever feel that way?
I can't.
Well, when it comes to your writing then, do you actively set time to write something new, or do you just wait for an inspired moment and then I'm going to sit down now and do this? I thought about this now.
Yeah, I kind of get inspired by literally everything that happens. Like when something happens, it could be like me getting a breakfast taco.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, can I write something about this? Like, I wasn't able to get it today. I'm kind of pissed. Let's write about it, you know, like, and that could snowball into, you know, oh, I think God is tired of me.
Do you have to stop for a moment and write it, like actually work it out right then? Or do you just remind yourself, I'll touch on this later?
I record it. I literally record myself talking because the joke is in there somewhere.
I bet
but
those are
I'm
fun to
just
listen
talking
back
it
to.
out. Yeah, they're all right.
Yeah. Man, what a great time with technology, though, to be able to just click, record it.
It's good.
Just think how many great jokes were lost because they didn't have a pen and paper.
Exactly.
Back in
Forgotten.
like, the 80s or something.
Forgotten. Because of the drugs.
Well, how often do you think you have those moments right now?
All the time.
Daily?
Like, if I'm not, like, literally doing something like this or at a mic, I'm always looking for new material.
Okay. How many times have you thought, if you got this much inspiration going on, how many times have you thought you're about to do 5 to 7 minutes and you just go, I'm not going to do any of that material I know works. I'm doing 5 to 7 of totally brand new stuff, and I'm going to be real uncomfortable. I'm going to go back to the voice cracking theater days and get uncomfortable for a moment.
See, I be doing, That's
tough, right?
It is tough. Because that's a bomb. Like, it may not be a bomb.
What if it's not, though?
I don't know. Because I've done that before, and it was a bomb.
Yeah. Like I said, don't take my advice. I'm just asking questions here.
But also, you can't be afraid to bomb. It's what come with it.
You got a little bit of a cheat code, though, because you're very likable.
Man, I guess
you're
so.
You're a very charismatic, likable person when you come out. Mm-hmm. You know, so I think you could, you know, and you know how to quickly, like if it's shit, you can quickly acknowledge it in a very fun, friendly way. I've seen you do that a couple times.
You're like, oh.
Where you're like, anyway.
Oh, hated that. Yeah, okay.
But I think people with your kind of vibe, your kind of personality, get to take more risk.
Yeah. Because honestly, sometimes I go up with the mindset like, man, fuck how it turned out. I'm sorry for cursing, but like,
say
just
whatever you want. Yeah.
Fuck how it turns out. Like, sometimes I literally just be having something to say. I literally have to get this off my chest.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that what it should be, though? Like
all the time. It has to be.
The best material is the non-jokey, corny.
Yeah. And to circle back to your question, like, oh, what made you share your scripts and stuff like that? Or like, what made you like just bring people into your world and stuff like that? I literally be having shit to say.
Okay.
And like sometimes, not all the time, but often as a Black woman, I hate to make it racial, but as a Black woman, sometimes I feel silenced. And like with comedy, with like scripts, a TV show, sometimes like you have no choice but to fucking listen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, that's always been the balance with comedy, right? Is there's really talented people who can mix in serious topics, but it's just getting to that skill level where it's still super fun.
Yeah, has to be fun.
I mean, like I was talking about it. You can't even say the joke now without somebody, like Bill Burr. One of his earlier specials was that was the first time I'd ever watched him, ever heard of him, right? And it was long before I did any of this. I don't think I'd ever even been to a comedy club yet.
Wow.
I was just watching one of his specials on Netflix, and it's whichever one it is. It's the one about him where he. Have you watched much of his stuff?
A little bit.
Okay, it's so old he still had hair. But,
Okay. Oh, I don't need.
Anyhow, he was talking about how like him and his girlfriend, which I think is his wife now, they got she brought a dog home before he came back from the club, and it was a pit bull. It was a rescue pit bull. So if you want to go watch that special, that's kind of like one of the bigger things. But one of the chunks that was absolutely genius at the time, and it is like, it's one of those where if you just listen to the tags, it sounds so offensive, right? But he's talking about the F word, about gay people, right?
Oh, wow.
But he's coming at it from the angle of, like, I think one of the punches is like, every guy's problem in life can be whittled down to basically not wanting to be called that name by his friends. Right? And so, again, he probably recorded this in like the early or mid 2000s. So that word was being used a lot more still, right? But the whole idea of them saying like, quote, "What are you, a F?" He's like, that kept, he's like, that's the reason men die of strokes and heart attacks. He's like, because everything they do, they have to question whether or not their friends are going to be calling them that. He's like, so every time you have like the urge to like hug a puppy or do something sweet and emotional, all you hear in the back of your head is, "What are you?"
Oh, wow.
Right? And so if you just hear the word,
Yeah.
you're thinking like, this is beyond offensive, right? But he's going through how like he's so angry that his girlfriend, they're going pumpkin shopping, and she can just get psyched about pumpkins, and all he's thinking about is how he can't get psyched about it, and she's so happy. And he's just thinking about, are they going to call me this name and all this kind of stuff?
Yeah.
And so it was like this whole deeper concept of how unhealthy that is. That as men, you're even doing that to each other to begin with.
Yeah.
And like, so you're tying in this homophobic stuff, this unnecessary, repressed, like you should be able to just enjoy a cookie, hug a puppy, buy a pumpkin. But because he's also yelling it in this Boston accent where he sounds real ignorant and angry.
Yeah.
And it's genius. And that's the kind of material where it's like,
see, we had a guy.
if you just came out at an open mic and did that, it's probably going to be pretty rough.
No, we had a guy
But when you're Bill Burr,
come to the Sunday open mic. Literally, it's like audience-wise, non-comic, it's like maybe 8 people in there.
yeah,
And then it's a bunch of comics. And he's trying to do literally that.
Oof. You're just not there.
With the same word. And I'm like, bruh, don't nobody know who the fuck you are.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
literally, he's not even like a avid open micer. Like he's not. We've never seen this man ever in life.
Yeah.
And
that's
he's
a
like,
hard
we
word to
shouldn't
drop.
say because.
Oh, is he trying to defend the use of the word still? Like,
no, he's trying to
okay.
be like, I don't know why people use that word.
Oh,
Like
okay.
he's literally trying to come at it to an angle like, oh, we should, like Bill Burr, I guess, was trying to do.
Yeah.
Or did do.
Yeah.
But I'm like, bro, you can't fucking say that here. I'm sorry, but we don't even know who you are, man.
Well, and the reason it worked with Bill Burr, right?
Because he's Bill fucking Burr.
Right. And even Bill Burr doing that now, it'd be tough.
It'll be tough.
It'd be a high wire act for
It'll
sure.
be tough.
He did it however long that was, 15 years ago or
Yeah.
something. And it's like, that's back when people weren't bothered by that word. That's the reason he could get away with it.
Yep.
Now he'd have to find another way to
He
phrase it.
can't say the
And
word. Literally.
He's a smart enough comic to know that. And like, by that time, he'd probably been doing comedy 15, 20 years.
Yes.
It's like he had the chops.
You had to learn.
Because even Rogan's most recent special, he dropped that word and he dropped the R word, right? And it's like, even that, a person who is wildly successful, he's still taking 50-50 heat on that. There's some people who are like, no, it was great. You absolutely should be able to say it. And then the other half is like, never. And that's as a professional and as well known as they come is Joe Rogan right now. And even for him, so it's like to think if Rogan gets mixed reviews, you're going to come into an open mic. You're going to solve
this. With a bunch of strangers.
Yeah. My wife can't, she doesn't get it, but I'll go to those open mics. And I'll randomly sit through there's one place, I don't think they're doing it anymore right now. I think they took a break. But they would have like a 4-hour open mic.
What the freak?
And every now and then I just get a wild hair on a weeknight. I'd just go and I just start getting drinks, and it's like, let's just watch this. Let's just see.
I mean,
I feel like it makes you really appreciate comedy when you watch people. Like, I think you appreciate a well-crafted joke much, much more when you watch how difficult it is for so many open micers to get one laugh.
Yeah.
One laugh. People struggle, right? And then it's also fun, like, you see people who do really well at those open mics, and you see, like, oh, this person, they're probably, even if they didn't get a laugh, you're like, they got a lot of good stuff, though, like, by the time they punch it up. But, yeah, I mean, when you go watch a few open mics, and then you go watch a regular show again, you're like, damn, I know how hard they had to work on that.
Yeah.
It makes you appreciate it more.
Yeah.
When was the last time you actually watched an open mic, do you think?
Watch? I'm always trying to do time, so I'm not.
But before or after, do you ever sit up there and watch, like, the real newcomers? Yeah.
No way.
You should do it every now and then and just remind yourself kind of how far you've come from. And to see who's, like, biting at your heels a little.
I guess so.
Somebody's coming for that time.
I can't worry about nobody else. I really can't.
I'm just joking. There's plenty of stage time around
Literally, it's so much, especially in Dallas. It's so much. Yeah. There's so much room for everybody.
That's why I think we haven't gotten close to kind of our peak level yet. I don't think these clubs or performers have reached max potential yet.
What is max potential?
I think, well, how many clubs do we have here? We've got 2 Hyenas. We've got 2 Improvs. We got Big Laughs out in Fort Worth is new now. We've got Plano House of Comedy, Comedy Arena, Backdoor Comedy Club. We're missing some people here.
Dallas Comedy Club.
Thank you. We're still missing some people. There's something we're missing here. There's a club. Anyway, so let's just say I'm forgetting one. We got 10 clubs that we can think of right now. Not including bar shows, not including weird open mics at random places. I think out of 10 clubs, I think what we're missing here is how areas on your East Coast and West Coast will have sold-out Tuesday night shows. And they will not be touring headliners. It'll just be someone's theme show or creative, whatever topic they're doing, whatever. I think that's what we're missing is...
That's in places where... open mics are hard to come by too. Yeah. Because like in LA, stage time is hard to come by. So if they have a show, of course it's going to sell out on a Tuesday because everybody and their mama is trying to get that time.
You think it's selling out because of the comics?
No, I mean, I feel like I don't think it's selling out because of the comics.
No, I think they have crowds. Like I think people are...
Because people want to go out and see comedy.
Right.
Here, there's ample opportunity to see a comedy show at any time, even on a Tuesday.
I agree with you. I think you're right. Right? That sometimes like you have so much that maybe I'll catch it later.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
You can always catch another one tomorrow, catch another one in the next hour.
Yeah, but I've when did you move here again? I can't remember.
2017.
2017. Okay. So you've watched from Dallas Comedy House closing to Dallas Comedy Club taking over. You've seen that transition.
I guess so. I didn't really pay attention.
Okay. So that location now was built by a different owner. That was when they ran it was Dallas Comedy House. The pandemic wiped it out. And then who is it, Rosie and Ian? They took over. I guess they bought it out or something. I don't know the details. And then they've turned it into DCC. And it was very similar. They did a few remodels, but the stage before they redid the big room, both stages were exactly that way when it was Dallas Comedy House. But what they have been doing really well is, have you seen the level of kind of quality? They've had very high quality, like mid-level headliners coming through that used to not come through our area.
Yeah.
So I think that a lot of people would start I think they would sell out more of these shows, not just DCC, anybody, by striving to do more of that, but mixed with more of the locals having their shows on those weeknights too. So I think if you give...
It's hard for a local to have a show on like a Tuesday.
You keep
mentioning Tuesday.
I know.
Tuesday is a crazy day.
Well, let's just say your Mondays, Tuesdays are open mics, right? But I don't think you'd have an issue. So like, let's see, like Catherine Blanford is one of the ones that's going to be rolling through town here soon at DCC, right? She is a popular enough headliner now. She can sell rooms out here.
Of course.
So I think if you had another show on just after that or something with your locals, and the crowd has the option to hang around, so you've already sold out that thing, and you kind of start educating your public on, hey, we also have these locals here too. So I think you can use these mid-level headliners that sell tickets, but they don't get the full-on weekend spots everywhere they go yet, right? To start kind of promoting those weeknights for you, because you might not know about Dallas Comedy Club, but you might know about this viral comic who's rolling through,
right?
And go, oh my gosh, they're here on a Wednesday. Yeah, I'll go do that. And then if you can kind of start sprinkling in that local, and kind of, I think we are in this weird space where we have like almost 8 million people, but we still have to educate a lot of them that comedy does exist in this town.
Yeah, I feel like
and that's a struggle, you know.
Yeah.
How many times do you talk to people outside of DCC? Okay, I think DCC is a little bit of an anomaly. I think they have a culture there,
of course,
of returning patrons, right? But if you go to Hyenas, Improv, Plano House of Comedy, Comedy Arena, if you talk to those fans up there, a lot of them probably their first or second comedy show they've ever been to.
Yeah.
Right? I still think there's a lot. I think if you're talking about Dallas proper, Deep Ellum, I think those people know comedy exists around here. But all these outskirts that we have, I don't think, I think a lot of them are still reasonably ignorant to the fact that there are 10 clubs here. Yeah,
I could see why you would say that. I could see why you would say that. But it's people that are like on the outskirts that's doing their thing too, with comedy and like just.
But I would bet there's
getting the word out.
200,000 people around McKinney who don't know that the comedy arena exists yet.
I mean,
got to be right.
I don't know
there's all
shit
that potential
about McKinney,
right? Or how many people in Richardson maybe don't know about the Backdoor Comedy Club yet? There's probably a lot.
I don't know,
right? It's not like they have a huge advertising
and
budget.
they always sell out weekends. Damn near 90% of the
out.
time they sell out weekends.
So I think a club like that, DCC, where they're building this culture, I think that's the next step. Is how do we transition from a weekend town to like a 5-day-a-week town? And I don't know how to do it necessarily, but I think if you're asking me what I think is left in our potential, I think that's it. I think there's enough funny people, and I think right now we have enough quality players in who are running the venues that we might just be able to kindle a little flame here and get something
on a Tuesday, child.
It happens. I mean, places like the Comedy Store, the Cellar in New York.
But where is that at?
Well, but where was it before they got there? Somebody had to start it.
Oh, and that's true. Somebody did have to start it.
Yeah.
You are 100% correct in all of that thing. In all of that, you 100%
I think it takes time, correct. But I think that's where the potential is. I think
comedy here is so lucrative. Like it's so much, so many opportunities, and you still get people that be like, "Oh, this is my first comedy show" and things like that. But you're always going to get that.
I mean, just since I've been more interested in it, we've had Plano House of Comedy, the Comedy Arena, DCC's kind of mixed because they bought it out, Big Laughs, which is new. So there's, just in my time of being more involved in it, there's been 4 clubs open. I mean, it's growing.
Yeah, it is.
I think when you're just in it performing all the time, it's harder to see.
No, I don't think it's not growing.
Oh, okay.
I just think like comedy, like selling out a comedy show on a Tuesday is some shit.
Look, we're here right now, October 24, 2024, and I think I mean, think about 10 years from now what this comedy scene's going to look like.
Of course, it's going to look totally different. It's going to look totally different. I'm sure.
Think about 10 years from now when you're doing 45 minutes to an hour consistently.
I'm sure
you're traveling out on the
different.
road. You're coming back on a Tuesday to do somebody's sold out show before you go back out on the weekend. You're like, Oh my gosh, everyone, we got a real treat.
You must have Tuesdays open.
Payton Payne.
You must have Tuesdays wide open.
We're getting hung up on Tuesday. Wednesday. But,
that happens. Wednesday shows sell out.
I know, but a couple years ago.
Thursday shows sell out.
A couple years ago, Wednesdays and Thursdays, you would have been like, we're not doing those shows. We do Friday, Saturday, maybe some Sundays. You know, it's evolving, I think, quicker than we realize. Mm-hmm. And I think, like I said, I think you guys are getting in a real good time right now. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're going to be growing with it.
Yeah.
You know, think of all like we were talking about Burr, for instance. Mm-hmm. You know, he's got like his group of people that they all kind of came up in that East Coast scene together, and they're all killers.
Yeah.
I think we're on the verge of that right now.
Of course.
Where you guys, there's a big group of y'all that are going to get successful in different ways, and that will put us more on the map maybe than what we are currently.
Yeah. But you got to give flowers to people who are putting Dallas on the map already.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the biggest name would be Barbosa right now. Paul Varghese has had a lot of success. Who else would you put in that group? There's a couple names that...
I'm not the one to ask.
Well, but here's what I've learned is we've had several people that come out of this town, but for whatever reason, they're not being associated with these towns.
Are they born and raised here?
I'll have to double check because I don't want to get the name wrong on the podcast, but there are some very big names who I believe came out of this scene and then they end up going to LA or New York or something when they pop. And that's just kind of like, I don't think they really say like any city is their spot, but you would think like, oh, why aren't they really? I mean, Barbosa is kind of one of the only ones, like, you know, he filmed his special here at the Kessler and, you know, he seems to be doing a lot of shows here all the time. So I think when he cools off a little bit, he's just been on like a crazy run right now, which is good for him. But I think when he cools off a little bit, he'll have even more involvement locally. That'd be pretty awesome. But yeah, I mean, who do you think is the biggest person from DFW?
That's like popped and like
anybody you want to mention that is the most famous, right?
I would say Ralph.
It's got to be him.
I would say
currently.
Ralph. Yeah. From my 2 years doing comedy, been here since 2017, not born and raised here. I would say Ralph.
Okay, but that's a good point. Is like when you were in Chicago, were you thinking about the Dallas comedy scene at all?
No,
it doesn't come to mind.
Not at all.
Right, and I think that's fair. I don't think anybody outside of DFW thinks a lot about DFW comedy.
I mean, but wouldn't you, like in the place that you're living? Wouldn't you think about that scene? Like if you were in
but you know,
LA. Are you thinking about Dallas? If you're in that scene, you wouldn't. It doesn't come up in your head.
But I do think people in the Dallas scene think about the LA scene and the New York scene. Of course.
Because it's LA and New York.
Yeah. I think
even people in Chicago probably think about LA and New York.
I think
because that's the goal.
I think that's the room that y'all have to grow around here. Right? Like instead of you having to leave Dallas to those places.
Honey.
You don't think so?
I feel like you
go ahead. You're not going to hurt my feelings in any way.
I'm not trying. I'm not even worried about that. But I feel like you're saying that you feel like Dallas can get on the level of LA and New York as far as the comedy scene because it's LA, New York, and then it's Dallas, damn near.
Sure. Yeah. I think. Take a person like you, for instance, right? We've talked about your love of comedy, your love of theater, your love of movies, you're writing scripts. I don't know that there's a big barrier for you in the future in terms of if you grow your comedy career the way you want to, being able to still work on the scripts that you enjoy and fine-tune those, and then find funding to produce films out of here as well. I think we're living in a world where you wouldn't have to leave this area to do that. And then it comes down to just how successful can you be as an individual in terms of the quality of your material. And that's kind of what I was saying earlier about, I think there's a lot of people here who don't appreciate that they're probably very, very good writers. And if they stretch those legs a little bit more than what they do currently, I know they're doing it, but I'm saying if they can find that next gear somehow.
They have to get
and that's
out
different
of
for
Dallas.
Maybe
because I'm not saying
maybe y'all can all collectively push each other here.
Is that not what the competition, like the friendly competition is? Like that's like if you, that's what it is.
Maybe you're right. Yeah, I don't know.
It's supposed to. That's what it's supposed to do. Like push you, but like I feel like.
Do you think it does?
Somebody can only go so far as they can go in Dallas when even the most famous person that has popped out of Dallas had to get up out of Dallas. Like, did he pop in Dallas? Did Ralph pop in Dallas? Or did, like, a special that he did outside of Dallas?
I don't remember the exact scenario. What I remember happening is he won some competition that got him that first HBO where it was like all Latin performers, right? I don't know what that festival was, or I don't know what he did to win that competition. So, yeah, that might back up your point of doing that wherever that was is probably what initially started his growth. Yeah.
I feel like this is a good place to start, to grow, and things like that. But I feel like you would have to, if you like born and raised here, I feel like you would have to branch out.
Well, what do you think it's lacking then, right? Because that would mean clearly there's something missing. What do you think that would be? I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, what do you think it's missing that if it were here would make that unnecessary?
I don't know, because like when it comes to like film and things like that, people don't really film in Dallas.
Right.
Like people are like filming in LA. And New York, like Saturday Night Live and things like that. Like, those are basically the goals. So like, we don't have anything like that here.
So that to me sounds like we need infrastructure, production companies.
Yeah.
We need
and we have them here.
Agents.
Yeah, we have them here. But they're on a smaller scale.
Maybe they're just waiting for a few.
They're putting their movies on Tubi. And you're like, oh, do we want to watch Tubi here in Dallas? Like some Dallas people are super bougie.
Sure.
Like want shit to be perfect, done up, big. Everything's bigger in Texas.
Yeah. Good points. Good points. Yeah. That's the challenge. Well, if you had funding, okay, you got the funding you needed, whatever that was, and you found the actors, would you take that money and use a small production company here, or would you want to go?
Of course.
Well, if you had the choice, though, would you want to go to one of the coasts and do it, or would you try?
I would probably do a small production company here because I would have more say so, and I would be able to do it the way that I wanted to do it.
I think more people are doing that in their own states. I think it's just like I think Danny McBride, who does Eastbound and Down.
Yeah,
I think he works out of the Carolinas. And I think there's people doing that, showing like we can do this however we want to.
Yeah.
And you know what else is kind of interesting too on that same point is other countries. Have you ever heard of Letterkenny or Shoresy?
Letterkenny, yeah.
Letterkenny. So that's like a Canadian based comedy thing. And the way they film that stuff looks so beautiful in terms of like cinematic quality, and it's a fucking comedy. Like it's a dumb comedy, and it looks beautiful the way they film it. And so that production company that they're working with up there, I'm sure, I don't know who it is, but we would say LA, Hollywood, all that's probably the capital of that, or New York. And so to see this stuff that rivals that coming out of another country, you're like, oh, maybe the rest of the areas are catching up.
Like people are taking matters into their own hands, and I feel like we should want to do that.
Yeah.
But on a Tuesday, no, I'm playing.
To be fair, you're the one hung up on the Tuesday. You're hung up on Tuesday. I mentioned it as an example.
I'm kidding.
I stuck with it for yeah, I don't know. I still think there's a lot to be, and I know you do too. I'm just kind of harping on it, but I don't know. I think we're gonna look back at these times and go, "Holy cow, we had no idea it was about to do what it did."
That's true.
I mean, like think of some of your peers at your phase of comedy. There's some really funny up and comers right now.
Yeah.
And once they tweak a few things in their act,
of course,
they're going to be dominant.
Travis, like they're almost perfect.
They're not. I mean, look. If you're under 5 years in, I would say, you're working on everything, right? You're figuring out more all the time, and there's just a crop that comes in every season, and there's a couple of them that stick with it, and then you're like, gosh, they're getting better and better. And I don't know. It seems like it's crazy. It seems like the people who can last 10 years, it seems like after that point, you've figured out pretty much what you need to know. Now you're just deciding what is the act I want to perform. you know? Because it's crazy. These big famous names like Nate Bargatze is like an overnight success. It's like, I think he's done it for like 20
No,
years.
like nobody is an overnight
Right?
success.
Well, Ali Sadiq's another great example. It's like, I think
they be working
I
their
think
ass
he did
off
it
for
a
years.
long time. Well, but think about how many people we have here who've been working at that a long time and are just primed to be that.
Yep.
Oh, look at this overnight new comic. It's
Yeah.
like, no, they've been doing this a very long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you, well, no, I don't want to ask you that. That's too much. You got to work at these places.
I literally do. I really do.
What's been your favorite part about, just taking on this whole new journey, going from not ever doing stand up to now you're a couple years in? What has been the thing you've loved the most about it?
Meeting people that are like-minded, or like just whether it be like a fan coming up like, girl, yes, I feel the same way, or like even like other comedians like literally being goofy as fuck with me or anything like that, because I haven't always had like people that get me, I guess. And like I experience it every day now. Like somebody comes up to me like, oh yes, I feel the same way, or like just some goofy shit, anything like that. I experience it every day. From not experiencing it to experiencing it every day, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
See? What a lovely. Come on. You got to get hyped. I'm going to find out. Actually, I don't know that I can get you hyped up. You seem too chill.
I'm hype. I'm so hype.
I just pictured you saying that and being like, I'm hype.
I'm hype. I'm so hype.
All that to say, I guess, that I'm super excited to see what you're doing in the scene. Every time I've watched you, it's been funny, even when the crowd didn't match up with my enthusiasm. And then I'm just very excited to watch where it's going from here.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. But let's close it out. Anything you want to mention before we get out of here? This will probably be out next week. Anything coming up that's fun?
The Black Sugar Comedy Show.
What's that?
It's a show that I produce at the Dallas
This
Comedy
is your show?
Club.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know you were producing a show.
Yeah, I'm also a producer.
Oh.
Yep, I produce a comedy show, the Black Sugar Comedy Show.
What's that show like?
What's
kind of the theme?
It's a
the hook of
variety
it?
show. I usually do like 4 comedians, and then I'll throw in like a sketch that I wrote, or like I'll just throw in like a musical act. I've even had like a Black girl improv team come do their thing. So
you get to
yeah,
have a little freedom here.
Yeah, it's
Fun.
just
How many of the shows have you got to book so far?
the last one that I did, that was my 9th one, and I have one more in December.
I'm so sorry for not knowing you've done this.
Yes,
9 times.
All
right.
Yeah.
Hey, how long do they typically give you a chance before they decide to either renew you or not renew you? How many shows do they usually give you?
I think they let me do 1.
Okay, so
and
that
then
speaks,
they were like,
volumes to the quality.
yeah, they let me do 1, and then I was like, okay, we can go ahead and give you a season. You know, they do like seasons.
Wow, how long's a season usually?
It's like 4 shows.
4 shows. You're hanging in there then.
Yeah,
This is a good show
doing my thing.
because there's a lot of other people trying to put on shows.
Yeah.
That's really great.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll have to check that out then. We're doing it on Tuesdays, right?
No, no, it's
Come on.
Friday.
Oh, you got
7
a good,
p.m.
Holy cow!
Yes.
Prime spot.
Yes.
Your biggest concern with that show is that you're competing with the main room.
The
probably.
traffic.
Holy cow!
I compete with traffic. Traffic is my biggest competitor.
Well, okay, that's on my list of shows to go check out then. You know, so your show is now on my list, and then the other one that I'm real excited. Have you seen the pun show that comes through there yet? I have not.
Full grown?
Yes.
Yes.
I haven't watched one, but I'm very excited to see what this is
me and
about.
Steve was in the same comedy class.
Oh, for real? Okay.
The
okay.
same advanced class. Yep.
I'm going to have to shoot him a message or something. I don't know him well. I'm almost 100% certain I saw him just walking today while I was driving. And I was at a stoplight.
Steve!
And I made eye contact with this person, and I was like, I don't know if he would know me at all, and I don't know if I want to wave at him or but I wanted to be like, Steve! See, he turned, I chickened out. I got too scared.
No.
But yeah. All right, so you're on the list. I got to check out that show then.
Gotta
I'll try
check
to
out
get a
my
couple people
show,
to come.
man.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know who's on the next lineup yet?
No.
Okay, don't worry about it.
We just had one.
Just
That's
buy
the
the
thing.
tickets.
That's
It's
why
good
I
to
don't
go.
know.
It's good to go.
But yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much for coming on. I
Of
really
course.
appreciate
Thanks for
it.
having me.
The I'm a Fan of podcast, music, comedy, and more.